All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to badge in and close the vault. You are now listening to the SCIIF International Podcast. Christian the HYPEMAN Sledge, Chief B Rouser, our leader, the one woman crowd, always in style, Michaela Morante. Of course, we have Lorraine Johnson, LAMF, up in here. And this week is Warrior Wealth Week. Today we have a guest, our Missilier millionaire, Thomas.
Yeah,
How are
let's
you doing
go.
today, man? Thank you for joining us. We're talking warrior wealth. We're trying to get you guys smart on how the money flows. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get to the money and get everybody mad. Listen up. You feel it, that energy? You survived basic training, you crushed tech school, and you got that first real military paycheck in your bank account. It's like a shockwave. Probably never seen that kind of money in your life. I know personally, I never seen that money in my life when I first got my paycheck. Man, we got place values, we got zeros and everything. Again, you get into the money and everybody mad, but you feel like a titan, a financial king or queen, you unstoppable. So what is that first move that you make, hero? What is it going to be? Is it that big old TV that you've been looking at for the barracks? Is it that sound system to make the whole building rattle? Is it the gleaming candy painted freaking car with the 24% interest rate just sitting outside the main gate, flexing, calling your name? Man, you got to hold up. All those are red alerts. You're marching straight into a financial ambush. And I'm telling you, predatory lenders have you in their sights. They're locked on your six. They're ready to trap you in a cage of debt that can sabotage your career before it even gets off. Your sergeant gonna get to know you real quick, but not you, not today. Welcome to Warrior Wealth, everybody, the only show that the planet dedicated to giving you the master playbook to dodge the landmine, sidestep the traps, and build a rock-solid financial future that puts you in command. Looking at my watch, it's looking like it's exactly rich chick o'clock. I'm going to turn this over to the leader of the SCIIF International Podcast herself. Michaela, over to you, ma'am.
Hello. Okay, real quick, can you tell us a little about yourself, how you got into finance? Most importantly, how can people find you on social media for financial education?
Absolutely. Great to be on tonight. So I got started in finance when I was at the age of 16. I interviewed for an internship with long time ago, Washington Mutual. It was one of the up and coming banks, now Chase. So they had a calling, a flyer at my high school. And I said, you know what? Why not? Like, I don't know any 16-year-olds that get to work at a bank and deal with money and get to open the vault and count like thousands of dollars. So I landed that internship and it sustained me through college. And I worked there 8 years before joining the Air Force. And so I will say the foundation was there because they do make you go through as an intern. You're not only
hmm
working as a teller, you start off as a teller, but they also make you go through classes to get credit in high school. I wish that program still existed, but I haven't heard of it. But they made you go through a course where you yourself are learning financial literacy, the difference between needs versus wants, because I think that's a huge pitfall. There is a lot of us don't know the difference between needs and wants, or at least when we're shopping, it's not being prioritized. So very
hmm
early on, I learned those concepts of needs versus wants. What's a checking versus a savings versus a CD account? What is an interest rate? Because interest rate can work in your favor, but if debt, we'll get into that, debt can have the same effect with compounding interest, right? Either positively or negatively. So I started off my financial career at 16. I worked through college, teller supervisor, etc. And then I joined the Air Force. So I became a 13 November, so a nuclear officer, a missileer, also known as, right? And so that's where I got to meet awesome folks. But yeah, I think a lot of us weren't used to that. Like Sledge said, that comma check, right? That first real over $1,000 that you get, and you're trying to figure things out. So now I got out 10 years ago. Now I dedicate my business and my agency to really helping transitioning military folks, veterans, also first responders. That is my niche because I am a first responder wife. I have 2 kiddos. And so really understanding, wow, you have such a great career, that stability. And I'm talking 20 plus year careers for many of us, 15 plus careers. But at the end, I don't want to sit with someone and have that regret on their mind of Man, I wish I would have sat with you when I was in A1C. I wish I would have sat with you when I was, in basic training after I started getting that paycheck rolling. And so now I've dedicated myself to that for the past 5+ years. During COVID, I started my business. So it's been incredibly purposeful, fruitful, and I just love to see other people win with their money, with the money hacks that I've been able to teach them. And it's really just a mindset shift.
Steph, where can we find you? Like, where are you on Instagram, any of those social media platforms? Just want to make sure we lead that off the top to make sure folks know where to find you.
Because I'm about to
Yes,
Mhm.
follow right
find
now.
me
I'm about
at
to follow you right now.
Steph the Wealth Captain on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it, TikTok. So Steph the Wealth Captain.
Wait.
All right. So, Stephanie, let's get right into the thick of it. Why is debt such a massive recurring problem, specifically for new troops? What's the deal? What makes a brand new soldier, sailor, airman, or marine such a prime target?
You're young. It's a recipe for disaster in the question that you've asked. You're young. You just got your first comma paycheck. You
Hmm.
know you're going to get paid on the first or once a month, however you set that up. And it's
Hmm.
this constant, your food's getting taken care of. You either live on base or BAH, all these benefits that are amazing that I think for many of us, whether you're entering, right off of high school, right out of college, you probably never had to think through insurance. And it is a privilege when you go through basic. You don't have to think of those things. I never had to put a trust in place or a POA in place. Personnel, they make sure that you get all that done, enrolling you in SGLI, all these things that you probably never had to consider. So it's real adulting for many of us. And I think debt can be really hindering because of the interest rates, the skyrocket, 20, 30%. I wish accounts worked like that in our favor, right? If you put money in a savings
Mm.
and 20, 30%,
Yeah.
people thought of it that way, like 20, 30%, I'm paying the bank to loan me money, and then I'm not going to be able to pay it off at the end of the month or in 5 to 6 months, and really changing that mind shift of, do I need it right now, or can I forego, or can I make this a goal and maybe save up for it, is really what I'm trying to change.
Steph, on top of that, can I just steal a little piece of
Of
this?
course.
In terms of debt and how it's easy to kind of get caught up in that, how do you strike a balance between living now and preparing for the future? Because a lot of people, youngins, as you will, they get so caught up in, like, oh, well, I don't even know if I'm going to live that long and all this other stuff. And I want to live now and I want to experience life now. But, how do you strike that balance? Like, saving, keeping your debt to income ratio, relatively modest and preparing for that future.
I think the biggest trend we're seeing right now from the financial industry, there's a huge transfer of wealth of the baby boomers. So to your point, yeah, many people our generation or even younger want to live in the moment. And just that instant gratification. You're hungry? Okay, Grubhub. You want to watch a movie? It's not available. Just sign up for another subscription. Amazon can be here within 2 days or less. So I think is changing that mindset. And when I sit with a young person, I'm like, show me your shopping cart right now. And how much of this is going to turning into at your door in the next day. I always say sleep on it. It really does help when you sleep on it. You detach emotion from finance, because I think a lot of our decisions can be emotionally driven. I want this now. I'm so excited. New year, like, let's do this, right? Or it's the holidays. I have to get presents for everyone. But understanding that a lot of the trend we're seeing right now is people are afraid to outlive their money. So those individuals that said, oh, yeah, like, my kids are only young ones, or I'm going to take this vacation because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I think that's the fine balance. How do you say yes to certain things? Because that's truly why we work so hard for our family to have a good time while we're here, but also understanding if I live to be 88, shopping very frugally, because
Yeah.
now you depend on Social Security. I know for military folks it's different because you might have a pension, you might have VA benefits
Yeah.
that you can count on, but for the general population, they're on a very limited income. And add in there an injury. I think for anyone here that is active duty reservist or whatnot, you have an injury, no problem. You'll have some sort of disability paycheck, steady income. But do that on the civilian side. The grass is not greener. And
It's rough.
if you can't actively produce income, what are you going to fall back on? And so I always say, I always tell people, don't live like you can get your daily coffee. If that's like the one thing that you're going to prioritize is your daily coffee, I don't want people to live sacrificially where they're, saving all of it that they get to their old age and also don't enjoy it. Right. But understanding this $7-8 cup of coffee every day could be the $200-300 I'm saving in a month to get to that cruise or that vacation that I want for my family. So it's those
Amen.
small sacrifices that really have a big impact at the end of the year when you look
Yeah.
back and reflect on where my money went. That and
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah. That and also, Stephanie, to your point, like you said, the YOLO piece is the impulse control that I think a lot of young people and even people my age, we lack impulse control because the targeting and the marketing and AI and how apps are driven now, they specifically listen and target you. So if you're scrolling on Facebook, you're like talking about, man, I wish I had something that massage my feet at night. And next thing you see is a whole bunch of stuff that massage your
Yes.
feet at night, warming and all this stuff. You're like, man, it's on sale. And you're like, well, maybe I can get it. So it's just understanding, what are you willing to sacrifice today for tomorrow and just realizing what comes with that.
Well, I would like to talk about credit score. Could you break it down for someone who's brand new at it and has no idea what credit score is?
Yeah, so credit score is, think of it like a grade you get in school for your performance. It's essentially it's a stratification tool that the financial credit bureaus use to make sure, okay, this is a risky person that is not able to manage their credit, or maybe it's a newly established credit. So it's like red, highly risky, yellow is somewhat risky, and then green, this person has been responsible with managing their credit. Their debt to credit ratio is good. They haven't maxed out credit cards, because when you max out credit cards, that also doesn't look very good. Paying their bills on time, if you have anything that you haven't paid over 30 days, that negatively affects you. Or were you jumping around, let's say on a day after work on the weekend, like Labor Day sale or a Black Friday sale, where you going around store to store getting all these hard inquiries on your credit. Those also can negatively affect you. There is an inevitable credit runs where you purchase a home and you have to get your credit run. But I would say that definitely it's important to establish it from a young age, but it's important to maintain it throughout your career, especially once you get out of the military. Even when you're in the military, vendors use that to judge you. They're going to use that grade to make sure that they're going to give you favorable interest rates or unfavorable interest rates. Someone with a great credit score might have a 15% interest, 10% interest. But if you don't have a credit, lower, let's say 300s, etc., then you might get a lot more interest or have to have a bigger down payment for an apartment or a lease. So definitely something to keep track of. And it affects your security clearance too. So something to keep in mind for those active duty folks and reservists.
Are there some techniques or recommendations that you would suggest to those E1 through E3s to kind of start their lines? Because some of these folks that come in the military have no credit line at all.
Have no credit. Yep.
So is there some kind of application we can recommend to them so they can kind of get started and use it smartly?
Wait, and also can I just say this, Hype, to your point, the E1 through E4s, you can't get an apartment, you can't get your cell phone, you can't get insurance, you can't get nothing without your credit. So it's very important to hear what Stephanie has to say.
So I would say first thing, and I know that was not part of the question, but I definitely feel that it should be considered and known about, is when your family knows you're going to have a steady paycheck, do not cosign. I don't care
Yeah. Thank you.
how
And then,
much
wait, say it again for the people in the back.
do
Say it
not
again for the people in
cosign
the
on
back.
a car. Do not cosign on a student
Do
loan.
not.
Do not,
No.
when they see military government job, they think secure, stable, most reliable top secret clearance person out there, and they're going to call you and they're going to ask you, maybe because they've already messed up their own credit. They're going to say, can you co-sign on this
Man.
loan? Maybe a younger sister, younger brother, etc.
Wait. So, Steph, you telling me my family, when my sister called me and asked me to
They coming for
co-sign
you
on an
because you know they
Escalade,
coming.
don't do it? Listen,
Don't
A1C,
do it.
don't do it. Don't hate.
Don't
Don't help my mom out. Don't help her.
No.
Okay.
She wouldn't
All right, okay.
recommend it. She would not
I
recommend
would
it.
highly not recommend that.
But that's my mom.
If your family member, defaults on their loan, their car, that is your credit. That's where I see a lot of the fault happen. It's not the own military member messing up their credit. It's that decision to trust someone else with their financial credit.
Hey, man.
I
I mean,
be
people
damned.
don't understand that, man.
I be damned.
Because it's
Yeah,
not you. You find out.
sometimes.
I will tell you this. Look, a very quick story. My uncle went to go buy a car. His car got totaled, so he was like, I'll go buy another car. Perfect credit, made all his payments all the time. But he co-signed on a car for his daughter. He didn't know the car had been repossessed because his daughter didn't say anything. He went to go, he was like, I got perfect credit, man. Yeah, I want this car, that one in that color. Oh yeah, give me your social security number, sign this paperwork, cool. They went in the back, they looked at it, they said, you can't get this. You know what your credit score is? You can't get this Mercedes Almighty guy. That AMG, for y'all that don't know. He was like, oh, what are you talking about? What's my credit score? What does it say? Sir, you're sitting at 436. I mean, low as it can go. I mean, and we talking about limbo low. How low can you go? And he said, what in the world? So he called the creditors, all this other stuff. Found out his daughter got the car repossessed. So then his wife had to come get him that car. And Lord have mercy, I mean, that is still a sore subject to this day.
Yeah,
So
with a
you
higher
are
interest rate, I'm
100%.
sure.
Oh, man, look.
So
Look, I'm
that's
here
the
to tell you.
foundation, right? We're not co-signing. I don't care if
Yeah.
they promise you their firstborn child. None. It's obviously it's a case by case, but as a young
No.
person, I can say that, or as a young person that I was, I can say that now. I've had family members come and ask me, hey, you know what? Can you co-sign on a loan for me? Be careful about utilizing your own benefits, aka VA loan, for someone who may not meet you halfway. So going back to the question, I would definitely stay away from any kind of store credit cards, like the Best Buy credit card or the Amazon credit card.
Mhm.
That was very
Even if they have a nice promotional rate,
a
you
nice
know, that
one.
even though they have that introductory promotional rate, like, hey, if
Yes,
you spend so much money, you get $200 off. And the introductory promotional APR is 0% for 12 months. Still don't do it?
absolutely.
Don't do
No,
it?
it's introductory, which means that, once that 0% starts, you get, I don't know, 10,
Skyrocket.
15% off your purchase today. Introductory rate for the next 6 months, 0%. You rack it up thinking it's zero, right? But then you get the statement 6 months from now, it's 29.99%.
Skyrockets.
And I won't mention any banks, but that star card or, etc. on base that looks very appealing may not be appealing
So it's
at the end of the year.
predatory.
It is predatory. I would say, those loans, payday loans, right? When finance mistakenly adds more money to your account than they were supposed to, and you end up with, a lot more thousands of dollars. I've seen that. I think we've all seen that. People say, "Oh my gosh, like, let me go spend that," and they get a TV, they furnish their new home, or get their game systems, and then they realize, "Oh, I wasn't supposed to get paid that much," and now you have a loan with the finance department, and that's where I see a lot of folks have to do the payday loans or
Yeah.
an advance on their credit card. Okay, can I get cash now? Or, putting travel, like their leave. I need to go visit my family for an emergency. So it's a combination of taking a portion of it, of your paycheck, and now saving for emergencies so that you don't have to put stuff on credit. And if you do put stuff on credit, you're using it wisely so that you can get the points, get all the benefits, all the perks, but then also be able to pay it off within a reasonable amount of time. If you can pay it off immediately. If you can only use, let's say, and this was more popular, I would say, before 15 years ago, it was not uncommon for someone to have their wallet and in it they would have Best Buy credit card, Victoria's Secret credit cards, or some popular stores,
Costco and
Sears,
Sam's
all
Club.
that. And so I think the banks got wise and they said, well, now we're going to do a Chevron card where you could use it anywhere. And so now that also becomes risky because now it's unlimited. But I would say definitely credit unions are going to have cheaper rates because they work for the members.
Mhm.
A lot of more corporate banks are going to
They're
have
what you
higher
call a
interest rates.
fiduciary, right?
Exactly. They're going to have higher interest rates. Even if someone has an American Express card, let's say, that's going to come with a cost. If you're paying for your credit card annual cost, just take that into consideration. $100 a year to have this credit card that you're using. And that's money you could be putting away. Unless you wisely know how to use credit card points and all that, which I will not get into, but that's for another segment. But there are people that are very wise at using their points, using their travel, their mileage, all that. But I would say if you are a brand new airman, just started getting paid, find us a credit card. I would say $500 to $1,000. That's probably what they're going to give you as a credit limit. Use it to buy something that you for sure know that you're going to pay off this month. Don't go out and max out $1,000 and get a game system or a TV. Something reasonable, and slowly start building up your credit. You're allowed one free credit check a year. There's 3 credit bureaus. You can get one from each, and you can start tracking your credit score. I'm sure a lot of banks too do offer, as part of the benefit, you can get a free credit score report, and they'll let you know, hey, something doesn't look good. And it's a great way to prevent fraud too, just to monitor that constantly and making sure that the Apple Pay that you swiped at so and so place, didn't get you didn't get fraudulent activity from that.
I want to just say one thing, red alert, to all the airmen out there, all the young officers out there, and everybody. When you owe DFAS, that thing coming out there
Regardless.
like that. When they owe you, snail mail, taking forever. Oh, we owe you. We'll get around to it. We'll get around to it. We'll get
And it's
around to it.
lower on the VA side. Once you come out, if you owe the VA,
Slow,
they will
Oh
come and get
man,
that. But
I
if the
didn't know
VA
that.
owes
slow,
you, we'll
slow.
get to your claim, So be
Yeah, we'll get
mindful
to,
of that.
pump your brakes, man. We'll get to you when we get to. Nah, if I overpaid you,
Man,
I need my money tomorrow at noon.
it's my money and I want it now.
I want it now. So I just want to tell y'all,
Facts.
to Steph's point, if you get overpaid, if you look at your first and 15 check and do this, please, everyone out there, check my pay. Don't be an idiot. And because I know some people out there that never check my pay, never log in, some people, and they say, I'm good. I know what I'm getting. I'm good. No, check it. Look at your entitlements, that left box. See what it says, base pay, BAS, BAH, whatever else you got. And look at the numbers and make sure it's the correct numbers. The pay grade, check them out. Just make sure they're right. Because you just never know, somebody fat finger somebody did something wrong, and then all of a sudden you got a lump sum of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, and you're like, what is this? And then you go to finance, and the airman says, yeah, we owe you this. Because the airmen are inexperienced as well. And guess what happens? You're sitting there and you just have this money. Just hold on to it and wait. Because one day somebody's going to come and they're going to come asking for it. When you retire in 20 years and they're reconciling accounts, which that's what they do at the end, they reconcile everything and they say, oh, hey, by the way, you owe us about $12,000 that we paid you back in 2011. You remember that? I ain't got it. Well, your final check, you ain't getting no final check. And we have a debt out for you too. So remember that. Just saying.
Saw it at tech school. I don't know if Lorraine was there, but there was a certain, young people, young officers or young airmen, and they were hosting the Super Bowl with a newly furnished place, TV, sound system, everything. And, they were asking for rides from and to base and, living on cup of noodles for a minute because they had to pay that back. So it gets real very quickly, not to make fun of them, but it does happen all
It's
the
real.
time. And it's
Yeah.
truly, you don't know what you don't know. If you check the pay rate, there's a table. E1, you're supposed to get this much. O1, you're supposed to get this much. Why did you get paid an overage? So always question it and take it out of your bank account, out of sight, out of mind, because Rabble said, they're going to come and get you.
So we were talking about building credit the right way. We talked about credit cards, but this is a good segue for the difference between regular credit cards and secure credit cards. The target is for Kayla and airmen like her. So maybe we can't get a credit card at this time for whatever reason, but maybe we can go through the secure credit card route. Can you kind of explain to us what that is and how the airman can access that with good intent and manage it properly?
The secure credit card route would be, you have a $500 limit and you basically tell the bank, hey, I'm going to use this. You're basically um, make an agreement. I've heard of individuals building their credit through purchasing a small item at a jewelry store because it's almost an immediate yes, something small, a necklace, and then that already builds your credit. I'm not recommending that that's the only go-to, but sometimes with like a guaranteed credit card, it's almost like a load up. Have any of you used any type of strategy like that?
Hmm. I have.
You
Yeah.
have?
As far as secure credit cards, what I do is we front load it. So let's say you get a $500 value secure credit card, because I'm trying to establish credit. The creditors don't know you, or you're not reliable, so you have to build up your street financial credit. So I'm going to front load the money so that it looks like a credit card, it smells like a credit card, but my money is invested as the front loader. So if I mess it up, they just take it and they run away with it. But I want that back. So then at that point, like you said, we grab things that we need that we know we're going to pay back easily, gas that just kind of flex that muscle. And then once we get our credit high enough that they see it, because that's reported too. So once that's to a point where it's reliable on the big scale, that the normal scale, then we can pull our chocks out from the secure credit card and use the regular system, because they know me now, or I have enough flex, I got enough muscle movement in order to make that happen. But I had to put my money up first to let them know that I'm good for it. And if I mess it up, then I mess it up.
Right. And then you basically use it like a debit card, like
Correct.
you said, you put in $500, $1,000. There you don't have the risk. You're taking on the risk and then trying to prove to them, hey, I'm worthy of the credit line increase to $1,500, to $2,000, $2,500. And I would say for those of you that are listening that do have really good credit, if you haven't had a credit increase in a while, you can always call your bank or your credit union and say, I've been making my payments online, on time, etc. Can I have a credit increase? And oftentimes they will, because they'll see your credit history, your payment history, and what that'll do, that'll help your the debt to credit ratio go down, so that if you are getting ready to buy a house or get a lease on an apartment, etc., you can manage that meter. Because if you get to the max, that doesn't look good. But if that max bumps up, then now it doesn't look like you have so much credit out there, or you used credit out there of a balance.
How would one start to get out of debt?
Be aware of things that look very, I would say, too good to be true. Debt settlement, debt consolidation. There's many different debt strategies. There's debt snowballing. There's a lot of different kinds. But I would say if you have a lot of credit card debt, if you settle a debt, right, it will not be beneficial for someone in the military, because it will eventually affect your clearance, right? So that's one of the things, that clearances are affected by our finance, right? They don't want essentially someone bribe you financially. So you pose a risk when you are being irresponsible with your debt. So I would say you can use a snowball strategy. You can either take the highest interest rate and pay that down, or you can also use the highest balance and pay that down. So the highest balance, you can pay that down, and once you have that paid off, then you can use what you would have put towards that credit card and start utilizing for them. Kind of what I always recommend is don't have too many credit cards. You don't want to have to be able to play poker with them. And that gets very complex and it can be out of control. If you have 5+ credit cards, you are
Mm.
now having to take an advance on this one to pay this one, and you're basically just circulating your debt around. Debt, I would say, obviously meet with a financial professional. We can look at your credit card statement. A lot of things that I recommend with my clients and the people that meet with me is, as a military member, the first thing that we should definitely look at is enrolling you into the Service Member Civil Relief Act, which caps your interest rate at 6%. I'm huge on that. When I got on active duty, that was one of the first things I did. And any loan, any home loan, any car loan, back then when I was active duty, loans were fairly low. So like 2%, 3%. You didn't really see the 6%. But I think overall, generally speaking, credit cards are always above 6%. So understanding that the Service Member Civil Relief Act is an act that was put in place to protect anyone from taking advantage of a service member. So right now, if you have, let's say, a 29.99% credit card, all you have to do is call your bank and let them know, hey, I'm active duty. Here are my orders. Here's my identification, etc. They will vet you, and then they will cap your interest at 6%. So now, if you have all this debt, you just saved yourself all this money on interest to be able to hopefully now pay that debt even quicker.
Right. Perfect.
Were any of you familiar with that? I know Lorraine was. Has anyone ever used SCRA? I'm just curious.
No, I'd never heard of it
No,
before.
I have. I haven't
Yeah,
used it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, USAA is pretty smart. If you're deploying, they always ask when I log in certain things to make sure that they run that checklist and run that play for you to make sure that you are doing what your due diligence. I mean, that's not a sponsorship, or anything. I'm sure Navy Fed and all those other military friendly places do that. But it's a great strategy, great framework to kind of help those service members be smart on those things that you just mentioned. I've been definitely sheltered with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing too for service members is that, without having to take on additional work, with a set income. Yes, it's beautiful. It's a great benefit, but also know that unlike other careers, you can't just pick up overtime. Let me work another 10-hour shift and get paid more so I can pay down this debt. Because you do live on a very standard income, and without having to go work, let's say, additional side gigs, it is important to have a good handle on debt early on so that you don't have to work backwards and then have a bad credit and then, potentially filing bankruptcy. Like it can snowball rather quickly in a unbeneficial way for you, and a negative impact. So understanding, hey, if I am on a set limit, then I should probably budget for food and all these discretionary expenses of, let's say, concerts or going out and eating and all these other things. So going back to the foundation of, wants versus needs.
If I can interject for a second. So when Steffi talks about building that foundation, I think one of the areas that she focuses on that I really appreciate is educating our Black and brown people. Because for a lot of us growing up, we didn't have these great foundational principles when it came to finances. More often than not, our parents didn't talk to us about money. I know mine didn't. I think my dad, a little bit, he said, three main priorities in life. And number one is credit. And then it's God, and then it's family, right? So you always want to make sure you got your credit together, because if you don't, then you can't have the other two, priorities properly aligned. And so I think that's one of the great benefits. And I hope that you all do reach out to Stephanie on all of her platforms to be able to increase your wealth of knowledge on all of these areas.
Yeah, hey, Lorraine, the only conversation I had when it came to money was the fact that we didn't have it. We and we
Hey,
ain't got
you
it.
ain't even lying. We ain't
So
got
I
nothing to
get it.
spend or invest.
Or
Investment.
credit. We ain't got
What
it.
you talking
Right.
about? Extra
And
money,
look,
man.
exactly. And don't ask for no McDonald's. Do you have McDonald's money?
That was funny. You ain't got it.
McDanks. Hey, McDanks. We going to McDanks tonight.
Yeah.
Hey,
Nope.
that's like going to a
That's fair.
5-star restaurant. That's like having filet mignon.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fair. That is
We
fair
do see
that
that
you
all
had
the
it.
time, all the time. We don't have that. And unfortunately, generational wealth building is not a topic that was discussed at the dinner table for me. It was more so, we have all these bills to pay. When I say don't play poker with your credit
Yep.
cards, it's because I truly lived it. My dad had probably at one point over 30 credit cards. He was trying to start his business, and he had a Home Depot card. He had a Lowe's card. He had all these other things. And so for me, from a very early age, is like, okay, well, money seems to be pretty important, so I'm going to dedicate some time to learning, because that's truly where I think a military service member can use their benefits. And this is not the segment for it, but like VA loan, hacking, house hacking. I know I won't speak for Lorraine, but I'll tell you some things that I did when I was starting off my military career as a young 20-year-old. Was I lived in a basement. I had a roommate and I lived in a basement. So that meant my rent was $300 a month.
Ooh,
And was I having people over? Not really, because I was kind of
No.
embarrassed at some point. You're
Who
right.
cares?
Yeah, we don't
My
need
my
that. I don't
neighbor
care.
had to come dig me out because the snow got so high on our door that I couldn't even open the door. But guess what? That afforded me the life and the freedom and the time to that when I got out as a veteran. You don't get benefits right away, if you get any at all. Can't count on that, guaranteed. And then also looking for a job was really tough for me, and finding out what my next pivot in my career was going to be in my life. Like, what do I want to do again when I grow up? And so having that buffer of time to be able to say, you know what, I have this savings now. My husband and I got married. I could afford a nice wedding, not on debt, like full out paid. I could afford a full out honeymoon. And so other things that I did, I just got rid of my 20-plus-year-old car, right?
Mm-hmm.
My Toyota
Amen.
Camry that I had when I commissioned, I literally just got rid of last year, and I donated that
Hey,
to a veteran service organization.
I
So
love it.
it's living those things, like understanding that people may not agree with your life choices at that time, but you have the bigger goal of like, I'm not going to live an hour away from base in the city so I could be cool and have all these amenities, but I'm going to live 5 minutes away from base because I'm going to save on gas. I probably won't get in a car wreck in a snowstorm because I'm so close. If there is an immediate change in my schedule, I'm easily accessible to the base. Like just little things like that I think really have helped me. And now I try to pour onto others, like, do you really need a car payment, or can you just get like a commuter car from to drive you from point A to point B? Do you need to upgrade
But
your car every
Stephanie,
3 to 5
how am
years?
I going to pick girls up, and how am I going to
No,
my swag and my drip?
Yeah.
no.
I'm not gonna
Your
pick nobody
personality
up
is
driving this
enough.
hoopty. How I'm
Your
gonna bring a
Patience is
girl
personality
that.
is
back to my
enough.
spot? How I'm gonna bring my partner back to the basement? How?
No, 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 no. You're
Hey, matter of
attracting
fact,
the
you don't need to
wrong
be
kind
doing
of
that anyway,
mindset.
because guess what? You have a damn baby or have some other stuff, then guess what? Now you got another mouth to feed. Now you're in more debt.
Yeah.
There you
Yes,
go.
Yeah,
How
yes.
that's
about
that
that?
mental state. So, but that's the mental state of that demographic. Like the chief is not making this up. Like we were all there. Where your mental state, that's where you're at. That's what you're focused on, and that is what we're trying to do as a SCIIF. We're trying to alter your mental state so that you understand where your brain should be at. You're thinking about yourself 20 years in the future. You're not thinking about yourself now, so to speak. Not all the time. You got to think about how you're going to set yourself up for success with the resources now by smart thinking. So just
Right.
being smart on debt, being smart on how credit works, being smart on that early and setting yourself up for success for those bigger things, you won't have a problem because we're trying to set you up for that. That's what Steph is trying to get at.
Yes,
You got to change
absolutely.
your mental state.
You
Yes,
got
and you
to.
will attract the right kind of person with your personality. They don't need all the fluff. And I will say, since we're on the topic of, he brought it up of, attracting, how are you gonna catch someone in this hoopty? Before you get together, I definitely, I told my husband, before we get married, I need to know your credit score. I need to know your financial history. Because let me tell you, a house divided is not going to succeed.
Amen.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
Amen.
I am gonna
yeah.
marry you and you have all this student loan debt or you have all this credit card debt, we need to talk about that today and just be crystal clear and transparent of, you are you gonna be the spender or the saver in this relationship?
Not when we get
Because
married. We married hot
so
and heavy on a
yeah,
honeymoon.
so
Hey, babe, hey, 50 G's coming your way. 50 G's. Oh, we got 50 G's in the bank. No, 50,000 in college debt. Oh my Lord.
so
Hey,
Do your
Steph,
due
was that
diligence is what I'm saying.
this is good. So was that an open conversation? Because airmen do tech school freaking marriages. They do. Oh, I can't
Oh,
stand that.
hey,
Okay.
talk it. Hey,
My
preach it.
gosh,
Preach it
yes.
on a mountain. Preach,
Courthouse
preach,
wedding. I'm still married to him, but that was
oh, preach.
like
But they
Let
don't
the
let's
have
get
those
that
choir say,
behind.
conversations. They don't
hey,
have
hey,
those conversations.
it's Sunday, but the doors of the church are now open. Hype. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get at is, was it when you had that conversation with your spouse, was that was an open conversation, I take it, right? So, okay,
Yeah.
let me know what you got on your end. I'm gonna let you know what we got on our end, and we can figure out this state together. But I want to make sure that that conversation is happening. We can't stop tech school marriages from happening. They're gonna happen. But what conversation would you recommend that they have when it comes to debt, financial literacy, and all that they should be having before they even do the thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Financial matters is the number one cause of arguments in a household, divorce, all that,
Mm,
with everything else. So
mm.
I was
Number
very
one.
number one. And I said, you know what? Knowing that, or maybe not really knowing that back then, just understanding that what I saw in my household was, we can't afford that. Why did you spend that? Or when is this bill paid? Or do you have another job lined up so we can, like, just financial conflict. And so when I got together with my spouse, I said, what is your credit score? What bills do you
Dang.
have outstanding?
Wait, on
And
the first, Steph, the first date
no,
or the second, like, wait, what we doing this now? I just need to
we're
know. Hey,
talking
inquiring minds want to know. We want to know. Hey,
yes,
why do we need to
definitely
ask this
before you
question?
say I do.
Okay,
So
all right.
wherever that takes you, whether it's tech school marriage I do, or whether it's 5 years in the relationship I do, it is a must.
So
Because
before K goes to the justice of the peace coming up, K need to be like, yo, hey, bruh, let me log in. Let me see that credit score. Hey, no, print the credit report. No, the whole
print
thing.
it.
No, all of it. No, all of it, bruh.
All
Yeah.
three
No,
agencies.
not just the score. All of them. All three of them. TransUnion.
Think
What
about
else?
it. When you get together, you want to know why. For me, I think most people want to know, what were you like growing up? What is your family like, your family history?
We ain't got
What is your personality like? So much of it can be found in finance, in
Hey,
numbers
they
of
might.
like, oh, this is a
that's
priority
true.
to you.
Hey, Steph,
I had this
they might
priority at
find out they got a
the time.
house in their name.
Yeah,
Because people did that back in the day. They got a damn house in their name.
Look,
Wait,
it's
I
look,
got a
they're
damn
not
house.
actually divorced,
it's real thick out
you know.
there. Yeah, like
That's
I got
another
a
one.
house in my
Oh,
name.
wait, you got another spouse and you got a house in your name somewhere else. Nah. Okay, you need to go ahead and let them go.
Yeah, definitely credit score. What are your priorities at the time?
Yeah.
My husband's fine with me saying this, but at the time, he loves cars. So he was getting a new car every couple of years, and a lot of it required maintenance. It was a nice car. And so I said, you know what, like, this needs to stop. So he'll resent me for that every now and then. He said, oh, I could have still had that classic car. But I think in hindsight, truly, he said, thank you for pushing me to think outside in the now, because I was fly, I look good, enjoy driving it, but special tires,
But Steph, that
special
got
kind
you
of
though.
oil
That car,
change.
hey, that classic car got you though. That attracted to
No,
you
no,
because you
no,
saw that car. You were like, hey,
You said it wasn't.
look,
no, no,
hey.
no.
She said she loved him for his personality. Damn it, that's what she
I
loved him.
know.
Personality and
Okay.
The
priorities.
personality got you. The person, y'all know y'all don't care nothing about no personality. It's the car. Y'all know y'all don't care nothing about no personality. It's the drip. It's the what you wearing, how
Well,
you
now
look, how you talk. If he driving that hoopty, y'all know K ain't talking to you, Steph ain't talking to you, LJ ain't talking to you. Nobody ain't talking to you.
Guess who drive that hoopty to the ground was
that's
him
true.
for
She
the
did do it.
remaining 10 years.
Won't she
I said,
do it?
here, have my
Won't
hoopty.
she do it? Won't
See,
she do
I
it?
think
Right? No, that's
personally,
true.
hold on, and I don't want to take us on a turn, but I will say this as speaking from a male perspective, I think men, we kind of get into this, macho type, kind of. If we driving that hoopty, we're gonna park in the back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
park up in the
Pride.
front of the club. I'm gonna be in the
Pride.
back, and then I'm gonna walk up, and then when I holler at you and I bring you to we hop in my whip, I might be like, you know what, baby, let's Uber. You know what I'm saying? Let's Uber back. Let's Uber. Let's take the Uber. Wait, I thought you said you had a nah. Let's leave that here. I had one too many. Let's take the Uber back. You know, yeah.
No, because one of our first dates, we were in his Prius eating Taco Bell and watching Kevin Hart, and it was one of the best dates ever.
That's
That
what's
was
up.
his.
That's
That
what's
was
up.
one of his cars.
That's
LJ, come on. That was his commuter. See, LJ, don't be telling them full. Tell them full. If you got a Prius as a commuter, that's fine. But when you got the Corvette in the garage, I mean, what?
oh
So
yeah.
go ahead though.
So as we continue to collaborate, and I hope Steph, you had a good time. I really do.
Yes, it was
Yes,
awesome.
ma'am.
I hope you did, and I hope you continue to come by and see us monthly, kind of in this battle rhythm ish, so that folks can get their dose. And of course, will continue to support you and collaborate with you in order to get your content out there. But one thing that we wanted to make sure that airmen understood, airmen, soldiers, sailors, and all that, that debt is a problem amongst that demographic, whether you for everybody, but particularly with that demographic, that E1, E4, O1, O3 kind of demographic. So just getting that education and understanding the dynamic, even from as a single airman or a single person to marrying, debt and credit matters. So it is looked at through different lenses as you go through different phases in life. So I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us and sharing that information. I know we're going to have way more subtopics to be able to dig into because there's a lot of stuff that airmen just don't know. Soldiers, sailors, they just don't know. And being able to
Absolutely.
provide that will be very, very useful to everyone, not just, that demographic, but everyone. So again,
Absolutely.
I want to give you one more opportunity to give your last little spiel, and then of course, do not forget to let folks know where they can find you so they can get that more tailored education.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to, as a final note, I want to be clear that you can leverage debt, but we're specifically on this segment talking about consumer debt, credit card debt specifically, and credit reports. So you can find me at Steph the Wealth Captain. I am here. My calls for military folks are complimentary. We can, take a deep dive into your own personal situation. And from there, we can, I can create a more custom plan to really to align with your goals and different phases in life that you're approaching, different promotions, etc., with finance and consideration. So
You have Steph's information. You got our information, the SCIIF International Podcast. If you guys like this, make sure you comment, subscribe, tell us what you want to hear when it comes to health, wealth, and time. Let us know because that's what we like to talk about. And then we will make sure we present content to answer all your questions so that you can make wise decisions in the future as well. So, on behalf of all of us at the SCIIF International Podcast, got me, Chief, you got Lorraine, you got Michaela. We thank you guys for your time because we know that's something you can't get back. So we want to make sure we fill it in. Really good education. So if you guys want to reach out to us, do the things. And of course, we're signing out and we will see you guys on the next one. See you guys later.